me ask you something straight from the heart. Have you ever chased something thinking it would finally make you feel successful, only to get it and still feel empty? We've been sold a lie that says success is about the size of your bank account, the car in your driveway, or the number of followers on your feed. But if that were true, then why are so many people with all those things still miserable, still lost, still searching for something more? I'm here to tell you today, your success is not because of money, it's not because of stuff. It's because of something deeper, something far more powerful. And if you don't figure out what that something is, you'll keep climbing ladders that are leaning against the wrong wall. What I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could shift the way you define success forever. This isn't motivational fluff, it's a wake-up call. So if you're ready to stop chasing the illusion and start living with real power, real purpose, and real fulfillment, then stay with me. Because this might just be the most important message you hear all year. You know, people spend their whole lives grinding, waking up early, staying up late, chasing that next level, that next number, that next win. And hey, I respect the hustle. I love ambition. But here's the trap. We start believing that success is defined by the result, by the car we drive, the house we own, the job title we slap on our business card. We confuse wealth with worth. And that's where the disconnect happens. That's why so many people feel like something's still missing, even when from the outside it looks like they've got it all. See, success doesn't start with what you have. It starts with why you're doing it in the first place. It starts with purpose, because without purpose, all that effort becomes empty motion. You get the raise and it feels good for a second, but then what? You buy the car, post it on social media, get a few hundred likes, and still feel hollow when the lights go out. Why? Because your soul isn't fed by stuff. It's fed by meaning. When you're driven by a purpose that's bigger than your paycheck, you unlock a different kind of energy. You don't wake up just to get through the day. You wake up with fire, with clarity, with direction. You're not dragged by the demands of life. You're pulled by a vision. That's where the real power is. Because when your mission is aligned with who you really are, not who the world told you to be, then every step forward is a win, even if the money hasn't hit yet. Some of the most powerful people I've met didn't start with resources. They started with reasons. Reasons to change their family's future. Reasons to break generational cycles. Reasons to stand for something that matters. And those reasons were more valuable than any bank account. That kind of purpose creates resilience. It creates grit. It gives you the ability to keep going when logic says you should quit. I've seen it over and over again. The people who live with purpose, not just profit, are the ones who feel the deepest sense of success. They may not have the flashiest lifestyle, but they're lit up inside. They've got peace. They've got power because they know what they're building and why it matters. Or a mission. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're grinding but still empty, I'm telling you, it's time to reconnect with your why. Strip away the noise. Forget the trophies. Get clear on the mission. Because the moment you start leading with purpose, not just chasing outcomes, that's when success starts to feel real. And that's when you realize you were never chasing money, you were chasing meaning. Look, we've been conditioned to think that success is something we acquire. Something out there that we have to chase down, grab, and hold on to. But the truth is, success isn't about what you collect. It's about what you embody. It's not about the car, the clothes, the brand you wear. It's about the identity you carry every single day. Because at the end of the day, your identity, how you see yourself, is what shapes your actions, your decisions, and ultimately, your destiny. You can't outperform your identity. You can't create a life that's bigger than who you believe you are. If deep down you see yourself as someone who's not enough, someone who's not capable, not worthy, not smart enough, not talented enough, it doesn't matter how much money you make or what you achieve on the outside, you'll always find a way to sabotage it. You'll play small. You'll shrink in the face of opportunity. Not because you don't have potential, but because your identity won't let you rise beyond the version of you that you've accepted as truth. But here's the beautiful part. Identity isn't fixed. It's not something you're born with and stuck with. It's a decision. You get to choose who you are. You get to redefine yourself moment by moment based on your standards, your values, and your vision, not your past, not your mistakes, not your bank statement. That's where real transformation begins. When you begin to identify as someone who is powerful, disciplined, generous, focused, everything in your life begins to shift. You make different choices, you take different actions, you walk differently, talk differently, lead differently, you stop chasing approval and you start living from alignment. And that kind of identity creates a gravity. It pulls the right people toward you. It opens doors you thought were locked. It creates a level of certainty that no external thing can provide. The world will try to define you by your results, but your job is to define yourself by your growth. Who are you becoming? That's the real measure of success. Because if you grow your identity, you grow your life. The outside will always catch up to the inside. It just takes time. But if you try to skip the inner work, if you try to look successful without being someone who's congruent with success, it all falls apart. That's why people win the lottery and lose it all. That's why entrepreneurs build million-dollar companies and still feel like frauds. They didn't build the identity to sustain the life they created. So the shift is simple but powerful. Stop focusing on what you want to get. Start focusing on who you need to become. Because who you are, deep down, is what creates what you have. Every time, here's the thing about fulfillment. It's the one thing everyone is chasing, but so few really understand. We run after more money, bigger houses, the latest gadgets, thinking that these things will fill us up inside. But fulfillment isn't about accumulating stuff. It's not about stacking assets or checking boxes. Fulfillment is a feeling. It's an experience that comes from within, and it's always connected to the meaning we create in our lives. Think about it. You can have all the material things in the world, but still wake up feeling empty, restless, or unfulfilled. Why? Because fulfillment is never external. It doesn't come from things. It comes from progress, passion, and presence. It's the satisfaction you get when you're moving towards something that matters to you. It's the joy that bubbles up when you're fully engaged in what you're doing, when you're connected to a purpose bigger than yourself. Progress is powerful. There's something about growth, learning, evolving, improving that lights us up on a deep level. When you're growing, you're alive, you're expanding. And that sense of movement forward feeds fulfillment in a way no material possession ever can. It's not about reaching a finish line. It's about the journey, the climb, the daily wins and lessons. That's what keeps your soul nourished. Passion is fuel. When you tap into what truly excites you, what makes you lose track of time, you access a source of energy that can't be bought or sold. Passion ignites your creativity, your drive, your resilience. It gives your life color and vibrancy. Without passion, everything becomes dull, even if your bank account is full. And then there's presence, the ability to be fully in the moment. So many of us are living distracted, worried about the future, or stuck in regrets from the past. But true fulfillment happens when you're fully present, appreciating the here and now. It's in the laughter with a loved one, the quiet moments of gratitude, the deep breaths after a hard day. Presence connects you to life on a level that stuff never will. Here's what most people miss. Fulfillment is a choice. It's not something you stumble into by accident or find when you acquire the right things. It's something you cultivate by aligning your daily actions with your deepest values and purpose. It's about designing a life where progress, passion, and presence are non-negotiable parts of your experience. So the question is, are you chasing after things that only bring temporary satisfaction? Or are you creating a life that brings lasting fulfillment? Because when you understand that fulfillment is the ultimate currency, the way you measure success changes completely. You stop trading your time and energy for things that leave you feeling empty, and you start investing in what makes your heart sing and your spirit soar. Fulfillment doesn't come from stuff. It comes from the way you live, the meaning you create, and the love you give and receive. And when you live with that truth, you'll find success that no amount of money can buy. Life doesn't hand out success on a silver platter. If it did, everyone would have it. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Success is not about avoiding failure, loss, or hardship, but it's about how you respond when those things come crashing down on you. Resilience, that ability to rise again after you've been knocked down, is the real measure of success, far more than any paycheck or possession ever will be. You see, money and stuff can be taken away in an instant. Markets crash, businesses fail, circumstances change, but what no one can take from you is your emotional strength, your mindset, your refusal to quit. That's the power that builds empires and changes lives. When you develop resilience, you create a foundation that money alone can never provide. I've met people who lost everything, wealth, status, comfort, and yet they bounced back stronger than ever. Why? Because they didn't identify with what they had, they identified with who they were inside. They knew that their value wasn't tied to their bank balance, but to their ability to keep pushing forward, to learn, to adapt, to grow. That's the difference between those who succeed in the long run and those who burn out or give up. Resilience isn't just about grit or stubbornness. It's about emotional mastery, being able to control your feelings, your reactions, your inner dialogue. It's about choosing faith over fear, action over paralysis, hope over despair. It's about standing tall when the storm is raging, not because the storm is easy, but because you are unshakable. That's true power. And resilience builds confidence. When you prove to yourself that you can survive setbacks, that you can overcome obstacles, you start believing in your capacity to handle whatever life throws your way. That belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It propels you forward, even when the path is unclear or difficult. What's important to understand is that resilience is not a trait you're born with. It's a skill you develop. Every time you face adversity and choose to get back up, you're training your mind and heart to be stronger. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more powerful it becomes. And that strength will serve you not just in business or career, but in every area of your life, relationships, health, personal growth. So if you're waiting for a perfect moment when everything lines up perfectly before you make your move or claim your success, let me tell you something, there is no perfect moment. Resilience is what carries you through the imperfect moments, the failures, the rejections, the losses. It's what turns struggle into strength, pain into power. Don't underestimate the wealth that comes from emotional strength and the courage to keep going. That's the real success that lasts. Resilience is your greatest asset. And when you master it, nothing can stop you. We live in a world obsessed with collecting wealth, collecting possessions, collecting achievements. But there's one thing that no amount of money or things can ever replace, and that's connection. Real, deep, human connection. The kind that feeds your soul, that makes you feel seen, heard, and understood. Success without connection is like a beautiful house with no one to share it with. It's empty, hollow, and ultimately unfulfilling. Think about the most meaningful moments in your life. Were they spent alone, surrounded by things, or were they moments shared with people who mattered? Chances are those memories are wrapped up in laughter, conversations, hugs, and shared experiences. That's where the real wealth lives. It's in the bonds you build, the relationships you nurture, and the love you give and receive. No fancy car or expensive watch can replace the feeling of belonging, the warmth of a genuine friendship, or the support of a family that has your back. Those connections give life texture and depth. They remind you that you're not alone in your journey, They lift you up when you're down and celebrate with you when you win. Connection is the invisible force that gives your success meaning and makes your achievements worth celebrating. Yet so many people sacrifice connection in pursuit of stuff. They work longer hours, chase higher paychecks, and collect more possessions, only to find themselves isolated and disconnected. The irony is brutal. The more they chase external success, the more alone they feel inside. Because true success isn't about what you have, it's about who you share your life with. Building connection requires presence. It means showing up fully, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It means listening without distraction, loving without conditions, and giving without expecting anything in return. It means investing time and energy in people, knowing that those relationships are the foundation of a truly rich life. And here's the thing, connection is contagious. When you give love and attention, it comes back to you multiplied. It creates a cycle of support and generosity that not only enriches your life, but the lives of those around you. That's how communities are built, how movements grow, and how legacies are made. So if you want to redefine success, start by asking yourself, who am I connected to? How deep are those connections? Am I investing in the people who matter? Or am I just chasing the next thing to buy or achieve? Because no amount of money or stuff will ever fill the void left by loneliness. Success without connection is a lonely road. But success with connection, that's a life overflowing with meaning, joy, and true abundance. Connection is the heartbeat of success. Without it, everything else falls flat. Here's the hard truth that many people don't want to face. Your income, your possessions, your titles, they won't be what people remember about you when you're gone. What defines your legacy isn't what you accumulated, it's what you contributed. It's the impact you made on the lives of others, the difference you created that outlasts your own story. Think about the people you admire most in your life or in history. Chances are it's not because they had the most money or the flashiest things. It's because they inspired change, lifted others up, and left the world better than they found it. Impact is the highest form of success because it transcends the temporary and touches the eternal. When you shift your focus from income to impact, everything changes. Suddenly your work takes on a new meaning. Your struggles don't feel so heavy because you know you're contributing to something bigger than yourself. Your failures become lessons that serve others. Your victories become celebrations that inspire others. And that's when you tap into a source of motivation and fulfillment that no amount of money can provide. Living for impact means asking yourself every day, how can I serve? How can I add value? How can I make a positive difference? It means seeing your success as a platform, not a destination. A platform to elevate others, to build communities, to create opportunities, and to leave a lasting mark. When you operate from this mindset, you become unstoppable because the world needs your gifts. It needs your vision, your energy, your courage. It needs you to show up, not just for yourself, but for the people who are waiting for what only you can offer. And when you do, you'll find a level of success that money alone can never buy. Impact also fuels true fulfillment. It connects you to something larger than your individual desires. It brings meaning to the sacrifices you make, the challenges you face, and the time you invest. You become part of a bigger story, a story of transformation, hope, and legacy. And the beautiful thing about impact is that it's not reserved for the famous or wealthy. Every person, every day, has the power to make a difference. It's in the way you listen to someone who needs to be heard, the way you share your knowledge, the way you stand up for what's right, or simply the kindness you show to a stranger. So I challenge you, don't chase success for success's sake. Don't measure life by what you own. Measure it by the lives you touch, the love you give, and the legacy you leave behind. Because impact is the true currency of a life well lived. Your greatest success will be the impact you make long after the money is gone.